Today, I will be beating Pokemon Violet while only using a team full of Lechonks. After naming my character me and getting through the opening fight, it was time to assemble my team of Chonkers. I caught all 6 Lechonks that I'll need for the rest of the game and respectfully named them Dumpling, Biscuit, Gravy, Meatball, Fraser for Brendan Fraser, and Jack Black. Now it was time for my team of misfit toys to journey through Paldea to become Pokemon champions. I now just want to let everybody know that I haven't played a mainline Pokemon game in about 15 years. I can't say I'm anywhere near a Pokemon master, so bear with me a bit. It's almost like I'm hopping on my childhood bike as an adult. After taking the training wheels off, it was time to get down to business and head towards the first challenge, the Bug Gym Leader Katie. After defeating the local children and legend Moist Critical himself, I got my Lechonk up to be preteens and ready for the gym battle. I thought I could just tail whip and tackle my way to victory, but my squad wasn't prepared for the bodacious bugs. The next 45 minutes was spent massacring the local wild Pokemon population to get my team their driver's license, but most importantly prepared to take on our first gym leader. I bullied down the Nimble and Tarantula with Jack Black and Meatball, leaving me a 6-on-1 versus Teddy Ursa. I had Brendan Fraser tail whip before going down, hoping to bring down their defense just enough for an easy win. After putting a diamond on Dumpling and taking out half of Teddy Ursa's HP, I was feeling good, until Gravy was faster than Teddy Ursa, however none of my Pokemon could take a single hit from the opponent, who took down Biscuits and Gravy faster than me on a Sunday morning. Jack Black quickly fainted, and Meatball got thrown out as a sacrificial lamb to revive Gravy, who used his speed to tackle the Teddy Ursa and bring back our first gym badge. My team of misfits clearly wasn't strong enough, so I spent a few more hours grinding up levels by decimating the Rockruff population to the point where my team could now legally drink. I was ready for my next challenge, taking on my first Titan Pokemon, the Big Bird. My Mega Brain strategy of headbutting the thing to death ended up working out, and I defeated my first Titan Pokemon. I quickly made haste toward Team Star's Dark Crew base and its leader, Giacomo. His Italian propaganda was no match when facing his Pawniard, however the Rever Room was a different story. I sacrificed Jack Black, Meatball, Biscuit, and Gravy to lower the Rever Room's accuracy, speed, and defense, hoping to put the finishing blows with Brendan Fraser and Dumpling. With a couple misses on the other side, I was able to headbutt my way to victory again, taking down my first Team Star base. I wasn't too sure where to go next, but I kinda stumbled upon Cascarafa, so I guess Kofu the water gym leader was next. Kofu looks like my dad on literally any trip he makes and leaves his wallet at home, so it's all me to fix his mistakes. But before I could do that, I spent 2 hours working through the desert, where I learned that Lechonk learned 2 moves that would end up being the key to success in the near and distant future: Yawn and Work Up. Yawn would allow me to put the enemy to sleep, while Work Up would let me increase my attack and make sweeping a lot easier. Okay, I eventually remembered that X items exist, and that's not until later. I don't know what I'm doing, but that's okay. The training wheels are still kind of on. We'll leave them on for now. I met it with Kofu and was quickly discarded after trying to give back his wallet. At this point, I should have just walked out with cash, but Good Samaritan me did the right thing and fought through his apprentice just so Kofu could get what he needed to chef up his best dish. This is where the training wheels finally came off, or my brain decided to finally work again. I had Meatball learn Mud Slap, decreasing the opponent's accuracy, and with Work Up was hoping to make Lechonk an unstoppable beast. I waltzed past Kofu's apprentice using this strategy, won the auction for Kofu, and went back to town to face off for the gym badge. I started off by using Mud Slap on Kofu's Vizula, hoping to lower its accuracy enough to set up with a different Lechonk. Meatball and Jack Black did all they could before getting sent off, and I sent in Brendan Fraser to use Yawn to put Veluza to sleep, while setting up workups during its slumber. With the sandstorm brewing, Brendan Fraser headbutted the Veluza and Wug Trio, but got beat up in the process. Kofu sent in Crabominable, whomst I have never heard of in my life, so I have no clue what to expect. And I wish I did, because this dude fucking waxed me. I mean, Gravy was fast enough to get a yawn in, but Brendan Fraser and his workups were already gone, and the endgame was the same no matter what happened. I knew I had to change my strategy around, so I huddled up the team to discuss how to do this. After going on about what we were going to contribute to our 401k, we decided that Gravy was the one who had to get all the workups, since he was the only one who was faster than the big bad crab, just hoping that we could get enough in to get one hit KO. And when faced off against him, Gravy came through with the finish. My boys and girls of nothing but fat had gotten our second gym badge. Another Titan Pokemon was nearby, so we decided to sniff around to see what was going on. A metal roly-poly was causing some problems in the area, and my team of Lechonks came in for the help. We had the same strategy of making a miss and putting them to sleep, hoping that would win, and on the second attempt that actually worked, of course with the help of Arven's Pokemon, who could actually do damage to the thing. Next up in my brain was to head to Medali and face its gym leader, but before I could do that, my Pokemon needed a little more work. They got to the age of starting a family when I decided they were ready for the gym leader, Larry. But before I could do that, Nemona returned for a special duel, which my Lechonk just bullied Nemona down in the pits. I defeated the other gym challengers to figure out the correct ingredients to order, and went to the restaurant to face off against over-enthusiastic gym leader Larry. My strategy didn't change much. I mud-slapped the accuracy out of Larry's Kamala, then brought in Dumpling to begin setting up to sweep. Okay, I guess it's gravy time instead. I learned that X items existed, so I boosted up gravy to the max and swept through the rest of Larry's squad, giving me my third gym badge. Now we have to have a little discussion about Pokemon Violet. The game is a choose your own adventure, allowing you to take on the gyms in any order you want. So when I took down Larry to get my third badge, I accidentally skipped a few checkpoints on the way. I had to go back and deal with the stragglers, and honestly I don't know if it's legal to show how bad these kind folks got beat, so we'll pick up our story later. After dismantling Cloth, Brassius, Mila the secret North Korean spy, and Iono, I got challenged again by my rival, Nemona. I kind of assumed she would be like the past few gym leaders, so I decided to try and win with that bully ball. However, my Lechonks and I got off the heezied and left in the dust by Nemona. A tough defeat, but one that I won't forget. I had no choice but to get myself a bounce back game, so I went ahead and took down the giant worm from SpongeBob. My men and women of girth continued to get stronger and stronger, allowing me to take down Atticus Finch himself and further breaking apart Team Star. It was time to get chilly and head up Glacido Mountain and meet up with Busta Rhyme's successor, Gym Leader Rhyme of Montanareva. This test was a little different since each battle was a double battle. The 3 lead-up trainers were trivial, and it was nice to see Charlie again. But for the gym leader, I was going to have to come up with a different strategy to win. You see, Rhyme's strength is Ghost Pokemon. None of my normal type moves would work on their Pokemon, so I would have to find a workaround. I started off by trying to brute force the win, but instantly learned that wasn't the right move as Jack Black and Dumpling quickly went down. So instead, I had Meatball mudslap the Banette until it was rendered useless, then used Chilling Water to lower the attack of Mimikyu as much as I could, trying to give myself as much time as I could to set up with Biscuit, who at this point had learned Chilling Water and Trailblaze. I was able to max out all of Biscuit's stats while Rhyme just sat and watched as their team could do absolutely nothing about it. Once I was ready, I realized the best way to win was to keep Banette in since its accuracy was so low they could barely even attack, while chipping away at the other Pokemon that would come in, one at a time. Biscuit still wasn't able to instantly sweep, but luckily the brunt of the attack was falling on Meatball, so this was no worry. Rhyme then terrestrialized Toxtricity, which in my mind should be a piece of cake. A piece of cake until... Whew. That was a little bit too close. Meatball tossed in one Mudslap, lowering their accuracy just enough to miss a few key moves. They kind of self-sabotaged themselves a little bit, and Biscuit was able to come in for the final blow. A worthy test, but our team of chunkers now had our 6th badge. It was time to turn my attention back towards Team Star, but when I got to the front gate, I was challenged by my absolute homie Harrington. And let me tell you folks, I got absolutely worked here. I mean, this was a beatdown of the century. His Morgrem fully dumped on me so much, I hope they have a bidet at home or else this would be a fucking catastrophe for them. Clearly my beefers had a few too many Crunchwrap Supremes and were a little bit tired, but there was no stopping now. In my eyes, we had only just begun. I trained and worked my Lechonk up until there was no more chonk in them. I worked them so hard until I made one fairly fatal mistake. Now that my squad was at a worthy age where their kids were hopefully leaving the house for college, I felt prepared to take on the 7th gym. I know I should have gone back for Harrington, but he needed special treatment after what he did to me. I walked into the gym when my rival Nemona just so happened to be waiting there for me. Very cool coincidence, she definitely is not a pervert and does not deserve a restraining order. After dicing up Nemona and getting my groove on, it was time to take on the psychic gym leader Tulip. But before I took her on, I crafted a TM Thief and gave it to Dumpling to help sweep through the vulnerable psychic Pokemon. With a few sacrifices for Mudslap, Dumpling was called in from the bullpen, juiced up with steroids, and swiftly cleaned up Tulip's lineup. I was down to the last few leaders in the game, so I went straight to Kasarova Lake to try and find the final Titan Pokemon. I wasn't too sure what I was looking for, so I may have allegedly massacred about 20 Tatsugiri for no reason. Until I found the right one that triggered the big boy to come out of the water. With the help of Arvin, we made quick work of the Dodonzo and completed our quest of defeating every Titan Pokemon. Arvin's a nice guy and all, but this adventure was really all about helping out the GOAT, Mabistiff. The GOAT! The GOAT! I flew over to Glaciator for the final gym battle against the Ice Gym leader Grusha. I attempted to use the same strategy until I learned her first Pokemon was a flying type. So I tried just throwing in Dumpling to tank hits while using X items when I learned this strategy had one fatal flaw. Critical hits negate any status improvements made, and it was too risky to keep with the strategy as any critical hit would ruin the fight. After spending some time in the lab, a second situation came to mind. I taught Dumpling Substitute, making my entire strategy far more annoying for anyone going up against me. I went back into the fight, brought in the teddy bear for Dumpling, aggressively overpowered him, then quickly swept through the final gym leader to win our 8th and final gym badge. Now that I had taken down every gym leader, dismantled all the Titan Pokemon, it was time to meet my ultimate rival again, Harrington. I would not forget the damage this man did to me, so I had to make sure I was way overpowered, giving him no chance. Get fucked, Harrington. I made quick work through Team Star's base to meet up to their leader, Ortega. After this beatdown, I can now firmly tier rank my favorite Ortegas. Coming in second place was Team Star member Ortega, but in a unanimous decision, Ortega Tacos takes the ground. The final Team Star leader was going to be my hardest since Aries specializes in fighting type Pokemon, which are most effective against my squad of Lechonks. I got what I needed to teach a psychic move to Dumpling, hoping that would at least give me some power to get out alive. I put the Toxicroak to sleep so I could get off as many mud slaps as I could, but my man on the other side simply could not miss. I went in for the second time, guns blazing, using exactly 0% of my brain to come up with a new strategy. This time I was able to get off 6 mud slaps before my team got swept, and after juicing Dumpling while the substitute took any damage coming at me, I was able to race by the Rever Room and destroy the last leader of Team Star. I met up back at the lighthouse where I first met Arvin to talk to Professor Turo, who wants us to meet him deep in the great crater of Paldea. Arvin asked me to prove my strength, so I face off and quickly defeat him in a Pokemon battle. While Arvin heads towards the crater to prepare, I still have a few more loose ends to clear up. After leveling up a bit more, it was finally time to find out the identity of the true leader of Team Star. Surely there was no way it was Penny, who was mysteriously perfectly following me around to each leader of Team Star. To give her some credit, she has one of my favorite teams I've ever faced off against, but yet she still didn't really have a chance against my perfectly plump Lechonks. Now that I defeated all the Titan Pokemon and dealt with Team Star, there is only one goal left: becoming a Pokemon champion. After leveling up my team of Lechonks close to retirement, it was time to take on the Pokemon League. Raika and Poppy, the first 2 Elite Four leaders, were similar to taking candy from a baby, in one case quite literally. Poppy unfortunately was not tall enough to ride this roller coaster, and she got left in the dust. They weren't holding back when they brought back the generally complacent Larry, who switched his type from normal to flying type Pokemon. Since I couldn't use Mud Slap, my whole plan was ruined. Larry started off with Tropius, and after putting him to sleep, I implemented my new strategy. I brought in Biscuit to use Chilling Water, lowering their attack with each hit. Since I couldn't lower their accuracy, the idea was to lower their attack so much that they weren't really doing much damage. All I had to do was survive a few solar beams until they were out, and then I could get started with my X items for Dumpling. And I did just that, wiping through Tropius, Staraptor, Altaria, Oricorio, and finally, Flamigo. The last Elite Four member is Dragon Tamer Hassel, who lived up to his name by sending out Noivern to start. I had to resort back to my previous strategy. Dumpling got all the help he needed, eventually taking out Baxcalibur in a few hits and defeating the final member of the Elite Four. The crew gave me all the praises I deserved for taking him down with a meaty group of Lechonks, but the champion still remained, and it was time to prove that my Lechonks were all I needed to become a champion of Paldea. First of all, let's give our praises for Champion Gita. That hair is next level. Now I can't be too nice before the fight, so I will have to stop there though. Gita starts out with a Spathra who has the ability Opportunist, allowing them to match any stat increase I receive. However, I was still able to lower their accuracy, which was good enough for me to at least get through with Spathra. Avalugg came in next, and I got a little over my skis and let the ultimate equalizer stay in play. Luckily, I still had a fully healed team, so I went back to my original strategy with Mud Slap and X items. Dumpling had his chance at redemption and didn't take it for granted. He left no room for error, dominating Avalugg, King Gambit, Go-Go, Veluza, and finally Glamora, making me and my full team of Lechonks Pokemon champions. But our story does not stop there. Champion Nemona challenges us to one final duel, champion versus champion. I haven't forgotten the beatdown that I was handed early on, and I wouldn't let that memory stop me now. Again, this strategy with Substitute is nearly unbeatable, so it wasn't too hard to sweep through her team, becoming the greatest champion in Paldea. But there is still someone waiting for us. We meet up with Arven, where we find a few familiar folks to help us in our journey towards the center of the Great Crater. Each of our comrades helps us on our way to meet down with Turo, but when we get there, we learn the real reason for our arrival. One last challenge to stop the AI from taking over Paldea. Together, our Lechonk vanquished the Moth, crushed the Hand, cut the Thorns, dealt with Jugs, and lastly, demolished the Valiant. Unfortunately, Turo locked us out of our own Lechonk for the final showdown against Miraidon, so our own had to step up to the plate. With the final threat thwarted, it was finally time to relax and enjoy a nice picnic. Special thanks to our chunky chonkers, Dumpling, Meatball, Biscuit, Gravy, Fraser, and Jack Black, the true heroes of this video.